It's okay to be poor. I have been financially in the red for a long part of my life. I worked full time while going to college, and I have learned a lot of tips and tricks that help me save money on food. Like, we divide the amount of eggs per the cost per carton, and find the cheapest eggs. Today we were lucky to find eggs for 22 cents per eggs instead of the normal 33 cents per eggs, so we went ahead and got it. I am lucky enough now that I no longer live in this position where I have to eat the cheapest meals possible. I make $3,000 a month, and uh, that's pretty good. I work as an English teacher. I wouldn't say it's the best, but I'm getting by. Uh, Even though I'm getting by, I am pretty much still living paycheck to paycheck. I just now don't have a roommate anymore. When I used to have roommates, whenever I lived in an apartment. And now that I'm not having my roommate, I'm finding myself still having to budget my food. So this is our meals for the week, in which we budget for two people, and the budget for the 2 weeks were $100. This is for 2 weeks. So everything here will be. I'll show you how I prep and organize it. This is our kitchen after cleaning out the fridge. Awful, I know. I started making egg bites just because the more convenience I can make for myself, the more likely I'm going to eat the food that I have at home and not want to go eat out. This is important because we just don't have the eat out kind of money to eat out frequently. So I take a hash brown, a gluten-free maple sausage thing, and crush them all up and put them in the pan. Well, I take an egg per tin, so 6 eggs in this case, and I mix them up. I always add a little bit of water just so that the consistency isn't as spongy once it bakes. And these are like my breakfasts for the week, along with a tortilla, or if I'm lucky, a gluten-free muffin if I can afford it that week. Gluten-free foods are more expensive. I just can't afford to pay for the gluten-free items, so I'll instead use tortillas. You find ways around. Find ways to be creative with what you're eating and what you're making. These muffins will go into the freezer and will now be my breakfasts for when I go to work for the week. Perfect and easy, and I'll probably make the same thing next week. Now, I'm not one to eat same meals every single day. I like to try new things and try to mix things up. So I was like, I have this tub of yogurt from my last week's grocery shopping. Sorry, 2 weeks before grocery shopping. So I was like, let me see what I can do here. I wanted to try the pressed yogurt, and I think it only works with Greek yogurt because I tried doing this and it failed awful, so you won't see the outcome here. For dinners, I decided to prep a curry mix with some coconut yogurt. I'm also lactose intolerant, but I don't always buy the lactose free stuff. But when making full dinners, I try to just because I would be sick late into the night. So I added some of the coconut yogurt with the curry powder and close that. That way, I just had to add that to my stew once I'm ready to cook. Along with that, I am also going to prepare the potatoes and carrots and onion in advance by cooking it until it's just fork tender. We don't want to overcook it, we just want to get it soft. And then going ahead and storing them in a container for later use. This will usually get put in the freezer just in case I forget to make this meal. Sometimes I'll just eat whatever is lying around the house for a night because I don't feel like cooking. And so the freezer guarantees that it's going to stay good. Lastly, I made some enchilada sauce. I bought peppers because the peppers will allow me to make more enchilada sauce than what buying a can of enchilada will do. And enchiladas are really cheap to make. So I deseeded the peppers and fried them in a pan, and then when they were fried until they were a little burnt, I added water and let them get soft. Once I finished boiling them soft, I cut them up with some scissors and I threw them in a blender with tomatillos. Sorry. So I bought a canned one. Usually the fresh would be cheaper, but that's okay. We work with what we got. And next time I'll use regular red tomatoes because those are even cheaper. When softening the peppers, I add ground comino, about 3 teaspoons. I add about a tablespoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of ginger, and a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of ground coriander, Mix it all up. That liquid will not go into the blender right away because it's hot. Let it cool first. Actually, don't follow what I'm doing here. I'm putting them in hot, but don't. You could cause an explosion, and that's a no-go. And they'll be blended with the tomatoes to make the sauce. I blended peppers first just to make sure they're blend fine. But listen, that's the sound of explosion almost happening. So this meal made about 18 enchiladas, which we can only eat 3 piece, so then you freeze the rest. Pretty much two 16-ounce jars of enchilada sauce, if that helps picture it in your head. Your ingredients never have to be exact. Use what you have on hand. And if it's cheaper to get a can of enchilada sauce, get the can of enchilada sauce. For me, since I know how to do this and I'm pretty adept at it, this is what I do. And lastly, we're making chicken salad for the week of lunches at my school. I opened a can of chicken, drain it of its juices, 2 cans of chicken because it's for a whole week, right? And then I add 4 tablespoons of mayo to this, along with just some salt, pepper, and a banana pepper and some banana pepper juice. I also like to add veggies because you need vegetables. So I add corn and peas, and that's my lunches. I'll take the little corn crackers that you kind of see in the background there, and I'll eat that with lunch as well. And that's all for my week of meals. We had curry 2 nights, we had enchiladas 2 nights, and then we made soup one night. And for the weekend, we just rummage whatever we have. Sometimes we have ramen, sometimes we have pasta. Whatever is left over, we'll eat because we usually have extra of food. And the amount of qualities of things, the quantity of things that we bought is enough to last us the second week. So we'll have similar meals the second week or adjusted meals. Like instead of enchiladas, maybe we'll make tacos. And instead of having a curry, maybe we'll make a stew and just have chicken. Things like that. You can be flexible, and it's okay not to have the money to have the best meal you could ever create, but try to be creative with what you do have. You'd be surprised with how good a meal you can make with just a few ingredients, and how versatile those meals can change into different kinds of meals if you just take the time to try to adjust them into those different meals. For example, the enchiladas into tacos. Even the enchilada sauce I've added to a lentil chili mix, and that helps us stay on task. Anywho, I hope y'all are having a great day and have a great rest of your week. Make sure to eat and drink. Bye.